Whitebeard was known as the strongest pirate in the world, but what if he never became a pirate at all? What if the man who shook the seas chose to wear a marine coat instead? How would the balance of power shift in the One Piece series? Right from the start, Whitebeard's body towered over others while his spirit drew men to his side. Though initially a simple recruit, his natural affinity, hatred for pirates, and driven personality allowed him to become an admiral in record time. Unlike Garp, who rejected promotion, Whitebeard accepted it wholeheartedly. Together with Sengoku and Zephyr, he reshaped the Marines into the most feared institution. His presence alone meant fewer Yonko ever rose to fame, and pirates whispered his name with dread, calling him the Marine God of Power. Marco served as Vice Admiral in this timeline, carrying Whitebeard's ideals and becoming a valuable asset. He was more like Sakazuki, but more just and much more powerful. This reign was darker than the original One Piece world because while Roger still reached Raftel and became Pirate King, his era ended much faster as Whitebeard's Marine campaigns destroyed empires before they could grow. After Roger died, the seas didn't explode into chaos because Whitebeard's Marines held half of the New World with an iron grip. The age of pirates that Luffy always dreamed of was born not into chaos, but under the crushing shadow of Whitebeard's justice. The Straw Hats arrived in Alabasta, expecting to liberate the kingdom from Crocodile's grip. However, the warlord system was stricter here, and Crocodile wasn't a warlord anymore, but a national criminal who made his own empire in the shadows using Baroque works to manipulate Alabasta. Vice Admiral Marco came to destroy Baroque works and Crocodile, but found that Luffy was already there fighting everyone. As the giant marine warship loomed over the harbor, with blue flames glowing, the people of Alabasta shook in tears. Vivi's knees felt weak, and though she trusted Luffy, she knew the Marines' arrival could mean the Straw Hats would be taken away. The Straw Hats confronted Baroque Works agents in Rain Base, only to be interrupted by Marco's forces. Zoro fought Marine Captain Vista in an evenly matched duel. Sanji fought Marine enforcers, and Luffy and Marco had their first encounter where Marco regenerated again and again, saying Luffy would never win. The battle ended in a stalemate when Crocodile kidnapped Vivi's father, Cobra, forcing both Marines and Straw Hats to focus on their real mission. Crocodile unleashed chaos across Alubarna, with sandstorms swallowing entire districts. For the first time in One Piece history, Marines and Straw Hats fought side by side. Zoro and Vista carved a path through Baroque Works assassins, while Sanji, Nami, and Usopp worked with Marines to disable Crocodile's traps. Luffy challenged Crocodile, but Marco engaged directly instead, with flames going up against sand and regeneration against intangibility. Marco slashed through Crocodile's sand body with hockey-infused talons, pinning him to the ground and creating a fiery explosion. Crocodile was taken away in sea stone chains. Marco spared the Straw Hats from arrest, but told Luffy he should have been a Marine. The world government portrayed the incident as a Marine victory, omitting the Straw Hats' contributions. Portgas D. Ace read the news with clenched fists, and the image of Whitebeard as the world's strongest Marine made him want to fight Edward Newgate. The Straw Hats arrived in Water 7, focusing on repairing their ship. Unlike the original timeline, CP9 did not exist in the same way, as the world government relied on Whitebeard, with Marine enforcers trained directly under Edward operating instead. Robin's dark past caught up to her, and she disappeared. Instead of Lucci and CP9, Marine Captain Jozu with his crystalline diamond body appeared with a squad of hardened Marine elites. Zoro fought Jozu, but his blades were useless against the hardened diamond skin. Sanji broke his bones against armored fists, and Robin went quietly, telling the crew not to follow her. The Frankie family clashed with Marines trying to seize Iceberg's ship blueprints, and the streets of Water 7 turned into a battlefield. Marco arrived and told Luffy he should have walked away in Alabasta and that Nico Robin was dangerous. Luffy told him to buzz off and give his friend back. The Straw Hats stole a ship to pursue the Marines to Eni's lobby, only to find Whitebeard's Marine Division HQ waiting. Eni's lobby had become Whitebeard's personal judicial base where pirates were tried and crushed. The Straw Hats fought Marine commanders, with Zoro fighting Vista, who showed how outclassed Zoro truly was, Sanji fighting Namor in a head-to-head battle, and Usopp and Chopper fighting Marine gunners. In the courtroom, Nico Robin was being called the Devil's Child and sentenced to proper execution by Admiral Sengoku with Whitebeard present. The Straw Hats arrived and fought through the plaza. Zoro carved through soldiers, Sanji exploded in motion, Nami summoned storms with lightning, Usopp set off smoke explosions, and Chopper destroyed soldiers using heavy point. Whitebeard had already left after giving his final verdict, so Luffy never got to meet him. Marco joined the battlefield and dominated Luffy, telling him he liked him and saw good in him, but that defending a criminal made him an enemy of the Marines. Marco used his wing attack while Luffy dodged by turning into rubber. The battle went on for hours until both Luffy and Marco were tired, with Marco not letting anyone else interfere. Zoro rose and slashed into quakes while Sanji rejoined the battle, and Frankie led with a barrage of weapons, blasting away hundreds of Marines. As Marco attacked Luffy with blue flames of resurrection, Luffy got angry thinking about Robin, and for the first time displayed haki, overwhelming Marco and every single Marine present. The other Straw Hats and Frankie seized the opportunity to release Robin and escape with unconscious Luffy. Frankie decided to join the Straw Hats while the Marines woke up to find they had been outsmarted. Whitebeard was disappointed disappointed in Marco and punched him, saying he could see trouble coming and Marco must not go easy on Luffy. He revealed Luffy was affiliated with Shanks, making Marco's body shiver with fear yet excitement, as capturing Luffy would get him one step closer to meeting Shanks. Portgas D. Ace wanted redemption for his father, Roger, against Whitebeard, who dominated half the New World. At Boreas' citadel during a Marine summit, Ace infiltrated and attacked Whitebeard with a roaring stream of flame. Whitebeard shrugged off the attack, and when Ace introduced himself as Roger's son, Whitebeard swung his Basento, sending quakes through the ground. Ace jumped toward Whitebeard only to be captured by the neck. Ace used flames so intense that Whitebeard had to let go. Realizing Whitebeard was overpowered, Ace was ready to die for revenge and wrapped his body in volcanic flames, forming a spiraling inferno that hit Whitebeard straight in the gut, with concentrated orbs detonating on impact. Whitebeard shifted from defense to assault, driving his Basento blade into the ruins and sending shockwaves that sent Ace flying 500 meters back into the air. They both left the citadel, and as Whitebeard came out, Ace threw a single titanic column of flame that rose like a living spear. For a moment, it looked like Whitebeard was in trouble, but he shrugged off Ace's flame spear with only a little heating on his left cheek. As Ace followed with his own attack, Whitebeard used Conqueror's Haki, which left no power in Ace's body, defeating his will completely. Whitebeard was about to kill him until Marco suggested putting him in a cell for proper execution, reasoning this was the perfect tactic to capture Robin, the Straw Hats, and especially the Shanks pirates. Ace woke up in a cell sunk into bedrock at Boreas' core, lined with sea stone and tempered iron. Marco told him he should have challenged Marco instead of Whitebeard, who did not even use half his power, then gave Ace a choice. Join the Marines and betray his friends, or go to Impel Down and face public execution. Ace said he would die like his father, rather than betray fellow pirates. Ace was transferred to Impel Down, and the news reached the whole world. The Straw Hats, now grown stronger, heard the news and knew their next adventure was Marineford. Everyone knew Ace was Roger's bloodline, and killing him would be a huge loss for all pirates. The stage was set at Marineford, with the plaza filled with vice admirals, admirals, and thousands of soldiers. Marco stood at Whitebeard's side while Sengoku gave the command. Garp was filled with guilt, knowing the boy he once trained was going to die. On the execution platform, Ace knelt in sea stone cuffs with eyes full of anger, regretting only that his assassination attempt on Whitebeard failed. The seas did not stay silent as pirate fleets rallied together, forming one big army with captains from across the world coming to save their reputation and Ace. Hundreds of sails appeared on the horizon as pirates crashed into Marineford's bay. The Battle of Marineford began with cannons roaring and pirates storming the bay. Marco and Jozu led their marine squads, meeting pirate captains head-on as Marco's flames burned through enemy lines and Jozu's diamond body crashed ship after ship. The admirals made their first moves. Kuzan froze the sea, trapping pirate ships in ice. Kizaru turned into light, cutting down dozens with shining beams, and Sakazuki unleashed molten fists, turning the frozen bay into lava and killing thousands of pirates instantly. The pirates kept fighting through the smoke and chaos. Buggy, the Straw Hats, and warlords including Boa Hancock, Doflamingo, Mihawk, and Jimbei joined the battle. Whitebeard entered the war, and as soon as he joined, the ground split with a quake. He had his massive Basento in hand, with an aura crushing almost everyone around him. With his first strike, he shattered the frozen bay, creating huge tidal waves that rose like mountains. Only Kuzan's quick freezing stopped Marineford from sinking into the sea. Luffy arrived after breaking out of Impel Down with many allies, rushing straight into the chaos with only one thought: Ace. He clashed with Marine soldiers and faced the admirals. Kuzan tried to freeze him, but Luffy dodged with fists blazing with haki for the first time. Kizaru followed with beams of light, but Jimbei intercepted, and Sakazuki stepped forward with magma fists. But Ivankov and the Revolutionary Army blocked his path. With help from Sabo and the Revolutionary Army, they continued fighting. Marco confronted Luffy and Sabo, dropping from the sky with wings of blue fire spreading wide. Luffy charged, and their powers collided, but Marco's body regenerated with flames, healing every strike. Sabo pushed Luffy and got hit instead. When Ace screamed as executioners raised their blades, Sabo launched a surprise attack while Luffy burst through the defense with Conqueror's Haki. He raced up the platform with Jimbei, Ivankov, and others backing him, even Crocodile slashing through soldiers to help. At the last second, Luffy arrived and freed Ace. Pirates cheered and Ace stood at his brother's side, but Whitebeard had not even moved yet. The battlefield was torn apart when Ace's flames, Sabo's staff, and Luffy's haki-coated fists faced Whitebeard. Ace moved first with flames twisting into a giant fireball that exploded mid-air before hitting Whitebeard. Sabo leaped high and smashed his staff down with Dragon Claw, but Whitebeard did not even flinch. Luffy appeared in gear second with speed almost invisible, throwing punches as fast as bullets, but Whitebeard only grinned and told them they had a lot to learn. The brothers regrouped, panting from the sheer pressure of Whitebeard's presence alone. Whitebeard simply raised his Basento, and the quake power surged, splitting the air itself. With a single twist of his weapon, he sent all three brothers flying in different directions, and the earth split open between them. Ace was the first to get back up with blood dripping down his face, but as he reached toward Whitebeard, Sakazuki struck him from behind, killing him. It was a low blow, and even Whitebeard called him an idiot for such a cowardly attack. Luffy passed out while Sabo was crying. The whole pirate world suffered, and everyone panicked as things got out of control with no hope left. The plaza of Marineford was silent as Ace lay motionless with his chest torn open. Sabo was on his knees and Luffy was unconscious. Whitebeard called Sakazuki scum and sent him back, believing in justice, even as a marine. The battle continued with pirates getting dominated and Straw Hats being overwhelmed one by one. Just as the tide changed, a familiar ship appeared from the smoke. The red hair pirates had arrived with Shanks. Shanks' aura spread across Marineford like a storm front, and even warlords froze in fear as his conqueror's will pressed against their spirits. Marines fell unconscious one by one while Ben Beckman, Lucky Roo, and Yasopp destroyed Marine squads with ruthless precision. Shanks walked calmly into the ruins and looked at Whitebeard, saying he had gone too far this time. Before Whitebeard could respond, Monkey D. Dragon appeared, carried by Stormwinds, joining the battle. Garp was in awe seeing Dragon and realizing Luffy's father had joined. Whitebeard stood in the center with his massive frame towering above all, with Dragon and the revolutionaries on one side and Shanks' crew on the other, fighting the admirals. Sakazuki charged at Shanks, but Ben Beckman's rifle barrel stopped him. Kizaru moved, but Yasopp's bullets and Crocodile attacked, and Kuzan tried, but Shanks pushed him away 100 meters. Dragon was approached by Sengoku, and their clash split Marineford's central tower apart. Whitebeard finally got serious with his Basento raised, and his presence alone made half the pirates fall. Shanks' sword rose with black haki, and his conqueror's haki collided with Whitebeard's, splitting the seas and skies. Dragon summoned a storm tornado that met Whitebeard's quake head-on. Together, Shanks and Dragon pushed Whitebeard away, and for the first time, Whitebeard was sent flying back. Shanks told everyone to retreat and that they would take revenge. With Whitebeard gone from the battle, Sengoku and Garp agreed to let them go. Dragon's revolutionaries gathered wounded pirates and slipped into the storm. Marineford was in ruins with the Marines technically winning as Ace died and pirates fled. Shanks gave Ace a proper burial at sea, while Luffy went on his own journey to get stronger. Several months passed, and during an intel gathering mission on a remote island, Sakazuki told Whitebeard he would like to settle scores with him once and for all because what Sakazuki did to Ace was completely unfair. Sakazuki told Whitebeard that dealing with pirates with such a soft heart had made him soft, and Whitebeard laughed, asking what he would do against someone as powerful as Edward himself. From the shadows came Marshal D. Teach, the rising power who was collecting devil fruits and legacies. The battle began at night, months after Marineford's fall. Sakazuki's magma fist lit the whole island while Blackbeard attacked with his deadly devil fruit. Sakazuki attacked Whitebeard, but his quake-coated fist smashed through Sakazuki's attack, shattering magma into harmless heat and blowing apart half the island. Blackbeard's darkness spread like a tide, dragging even Whitebeard toward the void. For the first time, Whitebeard staggered as darkness bound his massive frame, immobilizing him while Sakazuki charged with magma claws to finish him off. Whitebeard roared and with a single swing shattered the darkness and blasted both enemies back. Sakazuki charged again with molten fists and meteors of lava raining from the sky, but Whitebeard smashed through each one. Blackbeard circled and swallowed Whitebeard in darkness. But when Sakazuki drew Whitebeard into another exchange, Blackbeard was hit fatally, losing one of his arms. Whitebeard grew furious with his aura exploding outward, splitting the earth and blasting Blackbeard into the sky, shattering the darkness. Only Sakazuki was left standing with his uniform torn and body burned. Whitebeard moved with blinding speed, killing Sakazuki the same way he killed Ace, and the battle was over. Blackbeard's crew dragged their captain away while Whitebeard fell to his knees with blood dripping. News spread like wildfire, and the Marines were in disarray within their ranks because Sakazuki had died. A new admiral was appointed, Marco himself. To the world, it was terrifying that the Marines lost one of their biggest figures along with Whitebeard's arm, but one truth still echoed. Whitebeard was still the strongest man alive. After Sakazuki's downfall and Whitebeard losing his arm, the seas quieted, but Blackbeard was plotting to take down Whitebeard directly. He set a trap on a remote island, and Marco was assigned to go there, landing with his wings of blue flames spreading across the sky. Blackbeard appeared, glad that Marco did not come with Whitebeard. Marco was stunned to see that half of Blackbeard's crew had already died and been absorbed by Blackbeard. The Blackbeard pirates emerged with Shiryu, Lafitte, and Burgess waiting. Marco lit the battlefield in a blue inferno, but his flames were not working as Blackbeard's darkness swallowed them. Marco still fought like a true heir of Whitebeard, breaking Shiryu's blade and dealing with the crew, but Blackbeard's hand reached him, darkness swallowing Marco completely and crushing him with a fist through his chest. The whole island shook as Marco screamed and his blue fire vanished. They sent Marco's body to the Marines. Whitebeard took the bait and went to the same remote island, ready to fight Blackbeard. As soon as he used his quake-coated fist, he sent all of the Blackbeard crew plunging into the river. And for the first time, the world saw Whitebeard's anger when he was emotional. He swung his Basento and the air cracked, but Blackbeard countered by swallowing part of the quake. However, the impact still sent Blackbeard crashing into the ground, but he instantly knit his bones back together with Marco's flames. For the first time, Whitebeard was forced to watch his enemy heal as quickly as he was hitting him. Blackbeard taunted him with Marco's own voice, asking if he was proud of him. Whitebeard's rage grew and he unleashed quakes so massive that the whole ocean split and waves towered towered into the heavens. Blackbeard screamed as the island cracked apart, but rose again with blue fire melting his ruined body. Whitebeard roared with his Bacento coated in energy, smashing through Blackbeard's darkness and shattering his void. The shockwave went through Blackbeard's chest, breaking bones that even Phoenix Flames could not heal fast enough at a molecular level. Whitebeard delivered a final Quake Fist and drove it through Blackbeard, instantly killing him on the spot. When the dust settled, Blackbeard was lying broken and lifeless. His ambitions ended. Whitebeard was severely injured but stood above it all, breathing heavily and telling himself that maybe his time was coming soon. He had avenged Marco and his family. The world learned of Blackbeard's fall and the seas were trembling. For Whitebeard, it was not an easy victory because of the losses. His family was gone and Marco, whom he trusted the most, had lost his life. Whitebeard knew his own time was ending, but avenging Marco was symbolic, as he did what a father would always do. For years, Whitebeard ruled as the strongest, not letting even the strongest pirates like Shanks and Luffy stand in his way. One day, Whitebeard found himself in the toughest battle yet. Kaido of the Beast, the unkillable monster and world's strongest creature, had grown restless. With Whitebeard alive in this timeline, Kaido wanted to personally challenge Edward Newgate, the marine god who was unkillable. Whitebeard stepped onto Onegashima's skull-shaped battlefield alone with no marines or allies. Just him, his Bacento, and loneliness. Kaido was waiting in his Dragon Man hybrid form with his Kanabo resting on his shoulder, grinning and saying the old lion had come to die. The sky split open when they moved. Whitebeard used his Bacento coated in quake energy that tore the air apart, and Kaido charged with his Kanabo containing thunderous haki and draconic fury. The weapons met and the world screamed. Mountains crumbled into the sea, shockwaves raced for miles, and the clash knocked storm clouds into existence with lightning splitting the sky. Kaido laughed, pushing harder with his monstrous strength, pressing Whitebeard's quakes to the limit, but Whitebeard snarled and sent Kaido skidding back across the battlefield. For the first time in years, Kaido bled. Whitebeard used his powers to tilt the environment, creating shockwaves that struck near Kaido, shocking him every second and slowly injuring him. Kaido responded by fully transforming into his dragon form with his massive coils circling in the sky. He unleashed Bolo Breath, a beam of fire so hot it vaporized stone itself. Whitebeard roared and met it head-on with a quake shockwave, splitting the firestorm apart and scattering it into the sea, boiling the ocean and sending tsunamis crashing. Kaido dove down with scales shining and his Kanabo swinging like a meteor. Whitebeard jumped higher than anyone had before, and their strikes met head-to-head like two savages destroying the battleground. Even in his old age, Whitebeard fought like a man carrying the fury of earthquakes. But Kaido's gift was endurance, and he kept standing and laughing no matter how much damage he took. Whitebeard unleashed one final quake that split the world and sent Kaido crashing into the ground. The island broke apart with lava pouring from every fissure. Whitebeard staggered, coughing blood, but his body betrayed him. The Dragon Man burst from the rubble, and in the final exchange, Kaido crushed Whitebeard, destroying his bones with his powerful bite. Whitebeard fell and was killed, but Kaido, with weapons stabbed all over his body, reverted to his original form and stood on the battlefield alone and alive. He paid respect to Whitebeard, marking the end of the world's strongest man. Make sure to subscribe and smash the like button for more One Piece videos.